Countrywide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam Lamp.
Yes, so all of those talk about hot chips is making me hungry. I might even ask my next guest what his favourite way of eating hot chips is. Dean Lester is an insurance claims prepper, insurance expert. Mate, g'day, welcome to the show. Appreciate your time. Before we talk of the serious business of insurance, what do you reckon? What's your favourite way to eat hot chips? Salt, no salt, tomato sauce?
You're coming to me fresh off my hot chips last night from Westminster Takeaways in Christchurch. I'm a medium salt, but good sauce. And the trick for those that don't know it, you've got to go half and half tomato sauce with Speedway sauce. If you haven't looked up Speedway, you'll know Speedway sauce, Andy, from Nelson, made with apple pulp.
Yes, I do know Speedway sauce. So half and half.
Yeah, so you make up a pottle for your squeezy tomato sauce and you go half Speedway and half normal tomato sauce, and that gets the perfect match without getting the full tang of the Speedway.
A sauce connoisseur. Who knew? Okay. So this is getting almost like gourmet chips here. So medium salt. What's medium salt?
As prepared by the fish and chip salt.
So you don't resalt. You don't resalt it.
I don't resalt. I don't ask for chicken. And if I'm feeling in a different sort of mood, then I might ditch my halfway Speedway and tomato and use the old Liam Perrins Worcester.
Okay. So then the next question is, on the chips or on the side?
On the chips, you want it to just soak in a little bit. Okay.
All right. On the chips, because there's the survey that I've done around the office here is on the side generally, like in a bowl, and you dip.
No, you want it on. You've got to get a wee bit of that soak into the chip.
Okay. Oh, this is very interesting actually. This whole chip thing, sauce, salt, on the side or not. Okay, rightio. Okay, all right, good. Well, I'm glad I had you on the show as a connoisseur of the salt, the sauce and the chip. Okay, rightio. Hey, Dean, let's get serious here. There's been a bunch of storms hitting around the country. Unfortunately, that means people like yourself involved in the insurance industry are going to get busy and get even busier, which is, insurance is a good thing. I claim it. I say it's a necessary evil. Excuse me. It is getting expensive, but if you're unfortunate enough to be in a situation where you need to make a claim, your job is an insurance claim preparer, right? Is that your title?
That's what I do. That's what I've done for 15 years. Yep.
Okay. So obviously you can hire someone like yourself as a consultant, but before you get to that point, if it's a significant claim, what should people be doing when they realise that they need to make a claim? What's the first thing?
First thing is to always stay safe, and it's awesome that the community rallies around that by making sure that safety is the number one priority. The ultimate outcome that someone's looking for from an insurance claim is that they don't have any financial loss beyond the excess. And talking around the chips is probably a good lead into what I do as a profession with insurance claims, because it's very detailed as to what the contract says and what the cover is. The next part that is critical is you can never have too many photos or videos. The insured carries the responsibility to show their loss. And even going promptly to Cyclone Gabrielle or to Nelson, even still working on earthquake claims in Christchurch, recent fires I've been involved with, then having that information at the point that the disaster takes place and there's the damage is always helpful to refer back to. So when things are safe, great with phones now, don't hesitate to take as many photos and videos as you can.
Okay, so get out there, take photos of the loss, even like when it's safe, even before, say, if it's a flood, before the water's receded kind of scenario. Get out there and get as much coverage as you can, so long as, be safe, right? That's a caveat.
Yep, and your point is interesting around the flood waters receding. One of the things that was very evident from Cyclone Gabrielle, where I was heavily involved around Tikaraka with Maori up there, is that insurers were then trying to guess as to how high the flood had gone, as to how much gibboard they'd take off the wall. And so to know exactly where that point is does become helpful in the claim. And that's part of the information that the insured can use, can provide to me, that we then say it went this high. We know as to what's required. We can rely on our brand's guidance as to how much comes off, what you do about undertaking the repair, and that's the key start of the claim is that information.
What about before the event even occurs? Photos of what you've actually got, right? Isn't that important? That would be important as well, wouldn't it? Pre-event, like just something's going to happen one day.
That's helpful and becomes important. One of the claims I'm working on at the moment, we're trying to establish as to how much wear and tear there is in the carpet after there's been a loss. And talking with the homeowners last night, know that it was a good carpet, that there was one person living in the house. There was relatively little wear and tear on the carpet. There was a bed covering a large amount of carpet. There was a large rug in another area. One of the rooms wasn't used. They're all important things. Right now, right here, then there's a claim situation. So unfortunately, we can't wind back the clock.
Yeah.
What we can do is use well-considered insurance policies generated over centuries that are designed to help and support the insured. And we want those to activate as quickly as possible because people are busy, Andy. They're watching CWC, they're on social media, and at this point, they're caring for friends and family and stock as well. So to add on them becoming an insurance expert becomes, in my opinion, a poor business decision. Just attend to what you're good at and get an expert in there. As you know from when I've been on your farm many years ago, Andy, I'm not going to go out there and look after your stock or drive your machinery.
Yeah, exactly. So you say documentation is king, photographs. What else do people overlook then when it comes to preparing a claim or at the time of the event?
In my experience, they probably wait too long to consider if they can engage a professional. There are a key part of commercial policies that allow for claims preparation costs to be paid, that they're part of what a broker or an insurer provides. So anyone who has claim preparation costs, they should be considering to apply them straight away. And then for a business, for a farm, you've got to be concerned around what's happening to your cash flow. If money isn't coming in because of the event, then you've got to make sure you're doing something to get that in. And under a business interruption cover, then there are immediate claims that can be made there to support that. Likewise, someone who's in a whare in a home, your immediate accommodation costs can be provided for. So the insurance policy has so many clauses that are so helpful. And now is the time when the rubber hits the road. It's got to perform. And pretty pictures, pretty brochures, great. Nice that they sold the product. Now we've got to make it work. And when it works well, it's great. Reduces financial loss.
Dean, there is a perception amongst some people, and I know, and I'm not talking about any particular insurance company, there's a very general comment that when the rubber hits the road, the insurance companies try and limit their losses. Is that a fair perception?
I think in some way it is, because I sit with 40 years experience, and often the first contact that I have with an insurer in an insurance company is someone that doesn't have 40 years experience. Again, no different to an experienced farmer to a young farmer. That the knowledge that one builds up having been involved with Kaikoura floods in '93, Invercargill floods, Kaikoura earthquake, Otautahi Christchurch earthquake, Cyclone Gabrielle, Nelson floods, fires, and so forth, then that's knowledge that comes from learning, from time. And I can instantly look as to what parts of a policy can perform to make sure that those boxes are being ticked. Whereas someone who doesn't have that experience, they're not as familiar with that. So to travel an insurer through the journey to pay is what my clients value and appreciate.
So without doing an ad for your business, but for people who do your sort of work, would there be a limit, or do you handle any claims, small claims? What would be the trigger point to bring in a professional if you're uncomfortable with running your own claim?
That's an excellent question. So I'm not involved in ACC claims. However, any other accident and property claim I'm involved with. If I think about what I've had in the last 6 weeks, I've currently got a travel claim for someone stuck in Rome. I've got a motor vehicle that was written off that needed the correct valuation. I've got continuing Christchurch earthquake claims, including $2 and $4 million repairs, recent fire, and sadly, a recent claim where someone had passed and not been found for 10 days that we've been working on that for about 4 or 5 weeks as well. There's no claim that's too small for me. I make sure that my fees are directly apportioned or recognised as to the size of the claim, and I just charge like a normal professional, the same as an accountant.
Okay, but then when it comes to insurance itself, are there professionals that can have a look? I mean, I suppose you can say brokers can do this as well, but can have a look at your entire portfolio and go, hey, you're overinsured here, you're underinsured there, when it comes to... And again, we know that there are various different companies, particularly in the rural sector, who do a particularly good job, but this is a very general question.
And that's where I sit into my niche that I've found over the last 15 years, that I don't act as a broker, but I'm there when the disaster hits, that I'm familiar with working through those situations, very sensitive to people's needs. At that point, in essence, time stops because you can't add any insurance. So when the event occurs, you're relying on, a well-known FMG type company that's specialist in the rural market. You're relying on good brokers that have got the cover in place, because this is where they get tested. Have they got the right cover? Because they can't go back now and change it and say, I wish I had of, why didn't I? Right here, right now, we're dealing with what we've got. And that then needs to be used to the advantage of the insured to recover as much as they can to avoid their financial loss.
So just bringing it back to what we started about right at the start of the interview, we've got severe damage around the country in various different places. Key point for people to take away from what we've just spoken about, where do they start?
They start by taking the photos, the videos, and consider what expert support you need, because it is available. It may not be easily found, it may not be offered to you by your broker or your insurer, but there are those, such as myself, who have been through Gabrielle, Christchurch earthquakes, Nelson floods, and have developed relationships so that we can help the financial support. People are busy. This is what gets lost, Andy. People are busy. They're trying to look after their own health and well-being, friends, family, mothers, sisters, and their business. They've got things to do now. They don't need to become insurance experts. I'm not going to become a farming expert. I'm not an accountant, but I do what I do.
So do most policies have claims preparation cover?
It would be a failing of any business policy if it did not have claims preparation cover.
So ideally go and check is what you're telling me.
My recommendation is that anyone who is involved with farming or with a business, that they should be asking as soon as they can, have I got claims preparation costs? Because that will then mean that they can get the support that they need right now paid for. And that's one of the things that's developed over centuries of good insurance policies and wordings that are developed, is to say, when the event occurs, it is an accident, what do we do to support the insured to recover? One of the key things to that recovery is the claims preparation costs, so that they can focus on their business and their health and well-being, and you've got an expert walking you through the journey to recover. All
right. Dean Lester, really appreciate your time on the show, mate. Great advice there. We'll keep in touch. Hopefully, unfortunately, your job, you're needed as these events keep occurring. But we'll keep in touch. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, great advice there. Take a lot of photos. That's Dean Lester, Insurance Claims Preparer. Take a lot of photos, take a lot of videos, and right now, check your insurance policy and see whether you've got claims preparation cover. I'm going to be doing that fairly shortly as well.
Countrywide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp.